Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the time of the hour. The first few episodes of the podcast, there was a lot of prerequisites I felt I needed to go through to walk people through, because there's so much things that people don't realize that if you don't come to those revelations, you can't really go any further through the doorway. So I had to open the door up so that I could bring people through into the temple, and so that we could start sitting down and really decoding information and demystifying the occult. In the last episode specifically, and I think episode 2, things got a little fiery, especially on that episode 3. When it comes to these podcasts, I don't think about what I'm going to say. I don't pre-plan. Sometimes I have an idea of what my topic will be, but as far as what I actually say on the audio tape, I speak from my subconscious mind when I do this. So anything that I say, I stand behind, because anything that's being said is my subconscious mind bringing it to the surface, because I need to hear it or because somebody else needs to hear it collectively within the consciousness of all of us. So one of the biggest secrets that have been revealed to me through Bobby Hemmitt's tapes and through his lectures is exactly what we're dealing with when it comes to this human body vehicle, and the way that we're operating within this reality, and the way that the mythology of the gods, or as Lovecraft called them, the great old ones, how that is interpreted and how this whole thing kind of plays out. Essentially, each one of us is a book of the earth. You are the Necronomicon. You are the grand grimoire of the occult, because you have the power through your mind and through your body and through your perception of reality to invoke so many different energies, different aspects of consciousness, different personality traits, different archetypes, different mythical beings. Within true occultism, beyond the bullshit, something that I need you to understand, or something that you should understand, is that gods are not these independent beings outside of you. We're taught in school incorrectly. When they teach us Greek mythology, Roman mythology, they teach you that in the ancient past, people were so primitive they didn't know what was really going on, so that they worshipped corn and said it was a corn god. It couldn't be anything farther from the truth. The ancient civilizations were far more advanced than us. They were more advanced than us because they were far more metaphysical. We've been led to believe that advancements in technology is an advancement in progress of human civilization, when that's false. The more technology that we build to do things for us as we move further and further into AI, that is a devolution of human civilization. In the ancient world, they didn't need a fucking phone to tell them where to go. They fucking knew how to walk there. They didn't need a car to drive them on fucking roads within traffic laws under an occult system. They went wherever the fuck they wanted to. We are not more advanced because we use technology. We're less advanced. We've moved farther and farther away from metaphysical ability. So the gods of mythology, these are archetypes, these are energy centers, and these are personality traits that you can invoke and embody within yourself. You can be a representation of these different deities and these different entities. They're just coded ways of symbolizing different archetypal energy that we have to tap into in order to achieve different levels of consciousness. It's a psychedelic. It's psychedelic in nature. So another thing within the occult is anything that's elaborated upon as being good is actually evil, and anything elaborated as being evil is actually good. And it's not really within the same terms of morality as the ways we look at things as good or bad. It's better if you look at it as positive and negative. It's not really good versus evil. Those are misnomers that are confusing. It's really positive versus negative, or light versus dark, and it's different polarities of frequency. So when it comes to angels, the archangels are not your friends in terms of occult symbology. I believe in guardian angels, and there are divine protectors and spirit guides and guardian spirits. And sometimes I do, say the guardian angels. That is a term you can use, but you need to know the difference between that and between the archangels within the symbology of the occult. There's a difference. And there's also interpretation. You have to know the way you interpret things. You don't have to cast away certain terminologies or words. You just need to know the difference between what certain shit means within the symbology. Symbolism is one of the most important aspects of the occult. Everything is coded through symbology, and everything in the world is coded through symbology. That's why you don't really know what's going on, because everything has been coded to where you've been led to misbelieve shit. You don't know what's really going on. So the archangels, which something that illustrates the archangels would be like the Book of Enoch, is where we're getting into like the archangels and shit like that. The watchers, the seraphims. The archangels are the seraphims. They are what forms your human brain. The archangels are literally your human brain. The archangels are also the allies of the gods, Zeus and the Olympians, and they are not your friends. They are not your friends. Not all deities that we would say are gods are the same gods I'm talking about, but these gods I'm talking about, which I just refer to them as Zeus and the Olympians, these gods are your enemies, because these gods do not want you to achieve the highest state of consciousness and enter the God realm. They want that to be reserved for them. They do not want you to access that realm. So the seraphims, the archangels, they are literally your human brain. I don't really think of them as like independent entities. Sometimes people talk about the archons. I guess they're the same as the archons. So to some extent, they might have some kind of independent consciousness, but ultimately they're obstacles. They're basically the walls of the labyrinth that keeps you going around in circles so that you don't reach the center of the labyrinth, and so you don't reach the kingdom of God, which is God consciousness or Christ consciousness. They are the many different obstacles of mental turmoil that ties you up in depression, anxiety, limitation of action, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, all of these human things that are mental blocks. Those are the archangels keeping you out of the kingdom. It's the same as like Adam and Eve got booted out of the Garden of Eden. These are the archangels who are keeping you out. They're keeping you out. And the only thing that allows them to do that is your inability to achieve transcendence and consciousness and to eliminate that which is false within you. Your vices, the negative things you do, your failure to accept your traumas and to heal your wounded inner child, these are the things that allow the seraphims to keep you out and to block you out. And then, in addition to that, if you do not rule your destiny and your reality, the false power holders, adepts, and initiates of the occult that are using occultism for nefarious purposes within society on a political level and on an economic level, because you don't control your reality, they get to control your reality because they control the mass media that alters your perception. And that's what shapes the world. The stories that they tell you shapes your world because you're not telling yourself your own story. So that's how deep this shit goes. So the seraphims and the archangels, in service to Zeus, who's the demiurge that rules over this realm, on behalf of these dark initiates and dark adepts, they are in alignment with everything that is trying to keep you from becoming your highest self and from attaining your God self. I hear people speak on, religious people speak on the New Age movement and say, well, the New Agers tell you that you can be God, and of course that's a blasphemy. I also have seen many videos on YouTube of former occultists who have entered secret societies that get scared because of the horrible things that they see within these dark circles of occult, people that are using dark occult, secret societies use dark occult for nefarious purposes. So a lot of people that go into those secret societies blind, not knowing what they're really going into, eventually they see the spooky shit, get scared, and run back to religion. And then I watch these videos where they say, I learned this about how I can manifest and do this. And what they don't realize is what they learned in terms of the occultism, the manifestation aspect of it is real, and it's knowledge that they can use. But because they went into those dark secret societies and got scared by the evil shit they seen, they just associate all occultism with evil. So then they turn to religion to hide, not even realizing that religion, when you're invoking Jesus Christ or Allah or whoever, whatever, Buddha, that's your own consciousness. That's your own consciousness, your own Christ consciousness, your own God energy you're invoking. And you don't need to go through some kind of priest or some kind of middleman between you and God consciousness. It's your consciousness from the divine source of creation yourself. So the archangels, they are represented within demonology. So if the archangels, who we've been led to believe are good, are actually against us, are our opponents, that means that the demons specified within occultism symbolically, demons, when we talk about demons in occultism, we're not talking about evil entities. We're not talking about these dark adepts and initiates. There are dark entities such as the demiurge like Zeus or Moloch. But in terms of demonology within the occultism, it's a symbology. We're actually talking about the aspects of your subconscious within the shadow aspect. Demon has many different etymologies. It's gone through many different etymologies. But going all the way back, the daemon, the daemon, the daemon refers to you tapping into your inner genius, the genius of your mind. The demonic energy is the dark shadow aspect of the mind. It's not evil. It's not the evil. There are people that are evil. You know what I'm saying? For me, the way that I am able to distinguish the two is I associate those who practice satanic occult as devilish or invoking of devils, versus demon being not the dark occult, but just being the shadow aspect of the mind, of the subconscious mind. So within the terms of demonology, the archangels, they're representative of the greater key of Solomon, and the 72 Goetia of the lesser key of Solomon is your subconscious mind that you need to tap into. That's what you need to be accessing in order to control your reality. You have to conquer your subconscious mind, which is your shadow aspect. And part of the symbolism of demons, the scariness of it, of the way that they're depicted as monsters, is there's things you don't want to face about yourself, lies you tell yourself, things you're insecure about. Those are demons. Those are your inner demons. When they say, oh, my inner demons are getting to me, those are your inner demons. Just like I said in a previous episode, your wounded inner child will mutate and become a monster if you do not heal it. If you're not in control of it, you will be out of control. You will be an addict. You will be depressed. You will have mental illness. You will have mental disorders. You will be disassociated. That's why it's called demons. But if you are familiar, or if you go watch the anime Devilman, Akira Fudo invokes the demon king, Amon, who is Amun-Ra, which is the sun god Ra, who's Osiris. And Amon tries to take over Akira Fudo's body and control him, but he, because he's righteous and pure of heart, as a Messianic figure, as a Christ figure, he takes all of Amon's power and uses it for himself and transforms himself into the hero Devilman, who then fights against the evil demons. So that's what you have to do. You have to conquer these inner demons of your shadow aspect of your consciousness, of your subconscious mind, the dormant lies and obstacles and things you can't face and traumas. You have to overcome all that shit, generational curses. And then you get the power of the demons, which are just the subconscious mind, the lesser key, the 72 Goetia of the lesser key of Solomon, which is what Kundalini is for. Kundalini is the dragon force energy. The Kundalini is represented by the serpent or the dragon because it is a monstrous, ferocious energy that you must essentially slay the dragon to control it, to gain its power. So that's why it's depicted as a demon. Baphomet has nothing to do with Satan or the devil or, you know what I'm saying? Baphomet represents the polarity of divine masculine and divine feminine, the androgyny of the polarities between the two divine masculine and divine feminine energies coming together, which is how you become Vishnu. Lucifer signifies the pineal gland. That's why Lucifer is called the bringer of lights, the pineal gland. That's why within the religious systems, the devil is associated to Satan or Lucifer, the fallen angel. What they're telling you is your pineal gland is the source of immense light for you to return to the kingdom of God, to the Garden of Eden. But you have been cast down into the world of men where you are ruled by false power holders and you do not have access to that divine power essence. And they tell you to the devil's after you, the devil's coming for you. There is no actual devil. Satanists who think they're worshiping the devil, they're actually worshiping nothing, or they're just invoking evil energies. There is no devil that actually serves them. It's just a way that they have mystified the occultism to make it scary and to make it seem like occultism is evil when occultism is what's being used to control you and manipulate you. How better can someone control you and manipulate you than by getting you to believe that the way that they control you and manipulate you is evil and that you shouldn't learn anything about it? It's the same way that they preach to you, you need to be peaceful and protest peacefully and never fight back. The MLK Ultra social engineering, that you should never fight back, even if they blow up children in churches, even if they kill you, even if they beat you and spit on you, you should never fight back. You should just fucking take it. How better to fucking get people to be subservient to you than to teach them that they should never fight back no matter how much you oppress them. You should never allow somebody to victimize you to that extent. You should defend yourself by any means necessary, with absolute force, if forced to. So it's the same thing. They've mystified the occult to make you think it's all devil, evil energy when they're the ones that are doing the demonic evil shit. Frederick Douglass wrote in his autobiographies that the more religious the slave masters were, the more violent and cruel they were, and the more they would recite Bible scriptures as they whipped, flogged, and tortured their slaves. So that which they say, this is good, this person's good, those are the most evil motherfuckers out here that you need to watch out for. You need to know the symbolism. You need to know the different shit. Jesus Christ, Jesus represents the human body that is sacrificed on the cross. That's your human brain that binds you. A demon means bound in flesh. Demon means a spirit that is bound in flesh. You are a conscious mind that is bound by flesh. And you are plagued by the hunger of the human body and mind, which keeps you out of the kingdom of God. It keeps you from achieving Christ consciousness. That's what Jesus represents. Christ is the resurrection of Jesus, where you achieve the transcendence of your consciousness through passing through the 72 Goetia of the Lesser Key of Solomon in the subconscious mind and achieving your true immense power and mastery of your own reality as an adept and as an initiate, which is what the evil occultists of the secret societies, they have all become their Christ versions of themselves, but through evil though. Not through divine practice, not through shamanism and mystic forces, which is all pure, based on just elementalism and nature and your true human spirit. That's what I use. I don't use no evil shit. I don't sacrifice no chickens, none of that. I started with shamanism, worked my way into mysticism, and then worked my way from mysticism into Hinduism, which is where I got all the Kundalini shit and Vishnu and Shiva and Kali, the immense goddess, Shiva Medusa, the Nagas. And that's how now I've gotten to where I've become a master mystic and a self-initiated adept. But all through mystic pure shit. But at one point I thought I was supposed to be devoting myself to the seraphims, not realizing that those are actually our opponents. You're a cherubim. We're cherubims. We're conscious minds that have been bound in flesh. That's what a demon is. That's why it's demonology, the 72 Goetia of the Lesser Key of Solomon. It's a demonology grimoire, but it's actually just a occult text explaining to you the subconscious mind. The different demons that are addressed within the Lesser Key of Solomon, those are actually just aspects of consciousness. And they're just depicted. It's just fairy tales, the way that they tell it as, oh, a demon, monster demon. It's just a part of your consciousness. So Jesus Christ is Jesus bound in flesh. Christ is the release from the flesh of consciousness, which is when Jesus gets resurrected. But when Jesus dies on the cross, where does he go? Right? You want to talk about Jesus. Where does Jesus go when he's sacrificed on the cross? He doesn't go to heaven. He goes to hell. And then he comes back from hell resurrected as Christ. So hell is your subconscious mind. And it gets scary at times when you go deep into your subconscious. There's anxieties, your personality can become difficult, but you have to keep going with the shit and not lose your grip on reality, and ultimately you can achieve Christ consciousness and become a living Vishnu. You have Shiva and you have Kali. Shiva is the male aspect, Kali is the female aspect. Through the androgyny or oneness between Shiva and Kali, you can acquire the wisdom of Brahma, which is the Brahman, the ultimate reality, the mythic reality of Shambhala. And then through Brahman, you can rise and become a living incarnation of Vishnu, which is the same as Christ or Buddha. To be a living Buddha or to be a living Christ, to achieve Messianic presence within your conscious mind. To be conscious of your subconscious is to achieve the superconscious, and that's where you become Vishnu, which is the same as Buddha and the same with Christ once he's resurrected. After Jesus is sacrificed, he becomes Christ. The story of Jesus Christ is literally telling you, you must abandon your negative habits, you must abandon your vices and your appetites that keep you bound in the flesh, that keep you bound to materialism, and corrupted by demoralization and through capitalism and through propaganda. Those are all the material things. The propaganda and the education system, everything teaches you to try to live heaven on earth, to focus on your materialism, to live like there's no tomorrow because you need to focus on this money and your physical pleasure, hedonism, all of that. That's binding you in the flesh. That's keeping you out of the Christ consciousness. That's literally what this whole cult shit is. That's literally what it is. It didn't even take me that long just to explain that. So that's literally what this occult shit is. Like, that's ground zero. That's ground zero with this shit. You know what I'm saying? The shit doesn't need to be all complex, and we don't got to talk about this shit for 3 hours. Like, it's simple. It's simple when you break it down. It's simple when you break it down. And it's up for interpretation. That's the other thing. When it comes to this occult knowledge, you need to interpret things how they make sense to you. Don't just believe some shit because someone told you it. Try to investigate it. Try to find it. There's different books you can get. There's a book called The Jesus Mysteries. Hold on. Let me read off some of these books. Let me read off some of these books from my occult library right here. Because here's some books. You know what I'm saying? Go to the books. Because I can talk about this shit because I've gone through phases and phases of listening to master lecturers of the occult, such as Bobby Hemmett, over years and years. When I first started listening to his shit, fucking years and years ago, I didn't know none of the shit he was saying. I was just trying to figure it out from listening to him. But as I acquired more and more knowledge myself over time and cultivated it and applied it and it became wisdom, then over time, I was able to get to where now I listen to his shit. I know exactly what he's talking about because I've seen the evidence for myself. So now it makes sense. Now when I listen to his shit, I'm like, oh, yeah. And I get it. So you got to get to that. A lot of the shit I'm saying, you're probably like, this motherfucker's nuts. And that's what you should think. Because you shouldn't just, oh, yeah, I believe what he said. Like, no, you're going to have to go figure this shit out for yourself. You're going to have to go find it for yourself. But I'm telling you, you're going to reach the same conclusions. Because there's a universal nature to this shit. It's universal heritage. So one book is The Gnostics by Jacques Lacorriere. But it's The Gnostics. And when you Google The Gnostics book or Amazon search The Gnostics and then add the word book, when you see Jacques, Jacqueus, and the last name is Lacarriere, this is a book about the Gnostics. The Gnostics were the original Christians. The Romans killed the Gnostics, took their teachings, modified them, and then that's what the Pope is teaching you out of the Catholic Church, is the recreated Gnosticism that was used for the conquering of the world under the colonial powers with the Crusades, which was the wars to dominate the indigenous people and to destroy all the old tribes and all the world empires. So the Gnostics, these are your original Christians. If you have, if you're someone in the Christian background and you want to have a deeper comprehension of this shit I'm talking about with this Jesus Christ decoded, you have the Gnostics. But then there's 2 other books you definitely need to get, and these are all off Amazon. I got all these off Amazon. The Jesus Mysteries, Was the Original Jesus a Pagan God? By Timothy Freke and Peter Gandy. So Timothy Freke, spelled Freke, Timothy Freck or whatever, and Peter Gandy, spelled Gandy. This is called The Jesus Mysteries. This is a book exploring the ancient origins of Christianity back to the Gnostics and the symbolism of Jesus. And then this is another one called Jesus and the Lost Goddess, The Secret Teachings of the Original Christians. This is also by Timothy Freck and Peter Gandy, the authors of the Jesus Mysteries. This one, The Jesus and the Lost Goddess, what this is talking about is how Christianity, modern Christianity, has removed the immense goddess principle from modern religious systems. And you also don't get the immense goddess in the Muslim faith either. They have made it an entirely patriarchal system. They say the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The original cross is the Ankh. If you're familiar with the African Ankh, it has 3 points and a rounded top. The 3 points represents the Father, the Mother, and the Child, which is Osiris, Isis, and Horus, or Ra, Sekhmet, and Heru. The Father, the Mother, and the Child, which is the nuclear family unit, which has been destroyed through demoralization. The round part at the top represents the womb of the woman, which is the immense goddess through which life is given birth and acts as a source of creation. So the immense goddess principle has been removed from modern religion, which is why we live in a patriarchal civilization where women are suppressed and dominated, and we are not in touch with our divine feminine nature. And while they have promoted a macho agenda of false masculinity or toxic masculinity, they're actually feminizing men, and they're becoming less and less masculine. The more and more you are unappreciative of women and toxic in your masculinity, the less masculine you are. You're actually becoming more and more feminized in your nature, more and more bitchified. So Jesus and the Lost Goddess talks about that. H.P. Lovecraft and the Cthulhu mythos of the great old ones, that will, that's the Necronomicon shit I talked about. I got a book here called Pacts with the Devil by Jason Black and Christopher Hyatt. Hyatt spelled Hyatt. Pacts with the Devil. It has like rituals and shit in it that Satanists probably actually try to do these rituals, which a lot of times the rituals literally they don't do anything at all. They're just wasting their time. But what's good about this book, I didn't read the ritual shit because I have no interest in that, but I read the whole book, and it has a lot of the history of the alchemists of Europe, which is where the secret societies got all of their teachings of the mysteries of Babylon from. So all the secret societies, all their occult teachings, they got them from the alchemists of Europe, who got their teachings from the Celtic Druids, who got their teachings from the Moors, who got their teachings out of Kemet, and before that from Old Kush. So this book has a lot of the kind of the evil shit Europe was doing in their mysticism circles, their dark occult circles. And it's really just an eye-opener. Some of these books are just eye-openers. The answers aren't necessarily in the book, but it's just an eye-opener to get you to pierce through the veil. Even picking up a book called Pacts with the Devil, a lot of you would probably be too scared to have this book, own this book, read this book, open this book, order this book. I had a little bit of that when I ordered it. I'm like, damn, I'm getting a book called Pacts with the Devil, but I wasn't trying to make a pact with the devil. I never sold my soul to the devil. No shit like that. It's just a book. And it's just, these guys who wrote it, they don't even understand the occult fully. They actually think the rituals in this book, they think that shit's real. They think they're Satanists or some shit. They don't even understand the real cult. They don't even understand that they did a secret history of Europe's dark occult, and they think that they're putting out satanic rituals. They don't even know what they're doing. So that's what I mean. Even the people writing these books don't even know what the fuck the information that they're disseminating. So those are some of the books I have. I have this other one called New Eon Magic. This one is about the Thelemic Path. Let I'm trying to see which system this is. I think this might be Angels, Archangel Magic. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. I haven't checked this one out too much, so I'm not going to tell you guys about that one. But yeah, just to start out with the Jesus shit. Start out with the Jesus shit. I know a lot of people are into Jesus. So, fuck with the Gnostics, Jesus and the Lost Goddess, the Jesus Mysteries, both of those books. The Gnostics, researching Gnostics. You can even also just Google search Gnosticism and read on Wikipedia what Gnosticism is. And that shit will help you. We're not going to get into Kabbalah. I'm not even deep into Kabbalah. You know what I'm saying? So we're not going to get into that. But the Tree of Life, Kabbalah, that's occultism. That's mysticism. That shit's hidden, concealed. They keep motherfuckers away from that shit so you don't know what to do with that. But yeah, so, as I stated, the chief aim of this podcast is to illustrate the ways in which occultism exists in your life, the way it's being used to disenfranchise you, and the ways in which you can recognize the way occultism is being used and to empower yourself so that you can benefit yourself. One of the basic fundamental occultism that everyone knows is like law of attraction. The chick that wrote The Secret, the reason that book became so big and reached the cultural zeitgeist on a global, international level is because that's a universal principle of occultism, the ability to manifest through law of attraction. Law of detachment is law of attraction. You cultivate what you want, think about it, and then you release it. It's if a butterfly is flying out of your hands, you release that intention into the world, and you forget about it. You don't even think about the fact of what you wanted to manifest. You don't think about it no more. You don't desire it anymore. You release that desire. You let go of it as if you don't want it. And once you let go of it, it'll go out to the universe. The universe will collect the energy. It'll find the thing you want, and it will bring it back to you, and it'll just pop up right in your lap without you even trying. And the more you do to resist the pull of your human nature to be tied up in materialism and bound in the flesh, the more you do, the more the seraphims will try to create shit for you to try to keep you tied up in materialism. So the more you resist romance, the more the seraphims will try to pull romance into your life, because romance is one of the ways you get bound in the flesh. Because love ultimately results in families and being in a relationship, then you become devoted to, your physical existence, and you have less ability to travel into just the deep occult realm. Because now you have a kid. Now you have to work to feed your kid. Now you love your kid. Now, those are things that all bind you up in the physical world, and you can go, you can't go as far into the occult. You know what I'm saying? So the more you resist money, the more the universe will try to give you money to try to make you focus on that. It's kind of just like the Illuminati. The seraphim is like a Illuminati inside your head. Your human brain is the Illuminati. And the secret societies and the dark power holders that have agendas in place, their agendas are just traps for them to bring that Illuminati out of you so that they can, initiate you as a neophyte without even actually having to do anything. That's the thing. There's a reason why people don't believe in secret societies or any of this occult information is because you think that the Illuminati has to show up on your doorstep in a black robe and buy your soul with a blood pact from the devil, and you have to put your blood on a scroll. Nigga, all they got to do is get you to scroll on Instagram. Why the fuck do you think they call it scrolling? They get you to scroll based on what's trending. What the fuck you like. Your algorithm. Your program. They don't have to do shit. They have the programs in place. You're going to do it to yourself. That's the ingenious of their system. They don't have to do shit. They don't got to put a black robe on and come to your doorstep, nigga. They're in your head. They're in your room. They're in your house. They're with your family. They're with your kids. They're on your tablet. They're right next to you, nigga. They're closer to you than your motherfucking wife or your husband. You roll over and get on your phone. And you're right there. They're right there with you. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Scroll, 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 scroll. That's why I don't have social media. I only use Substack. And Substack is great. I'm loving fucking Substack. Substack is basically the underground village of people that are actually conscious, who actually have conscious minds that want to think. A lot of people post on Substack and just say, I want to think, I want to read good writing, I want to read interesting stuff. Post your shit in the comments. I'll read it. A lot of posts don't even say sub back. They don't even care about getting subscribers or growth or any of that shit. They're just like, Post your shit. I want to check it out. That's the opposite of what you get on social media. Instagram, Facebook, and fucking X and TikTok. It's the opposite of what the fuck they're doing over there. I can't even go on TikTok. I post anything on TikTok and my shit gets community guideline flagged. And I post the same shit on there that I post on YouTube. So why is TikTok different? Because it's media controlled. It's a mindless factory. They can put porn on there, but I can't put a skit with a toy gun pretending to be a cowboy. But they can put porn on there and fucking escort services and sell you escort services. So what's the community guidelines? I'm playing with a toy in my garage and making a creative short film skit pretending to be a cowboy like a little kid, but they can put porn on there and a fucking escort can sell you escort services on there through the fucking link, through Linktree. So who's violating, what community guidelines are there? I guess your community guidelines aren't the same kind of morals as mine, and that's facts. You're being demoralized by these social media platforms. While the shit I'm saying sounds crazy to you, I think you need to examine how crazy the fuck what I just said is. Me playing with a toy in my garage is a violation of community guidelines, but posting porn and selling you escort services isn't. So obviously, what they view as moral and what I view as moral is totally different. So what do you view as moral? Because demoralization is the number one use of the occult in the modern world. Everything is aimed to demoralize you. All creative media is aimed to demoralize you. That's why it's taken me a long time to get any kind of traction with my YouTube content or with any kind of online content, because it was hard for me to gauge the difference in what I'm trying to push as far as trying to enlighten people to self-illumination versus what's being pushed to the masses for mindless entertainment and distraction to demoralize them into being fucking ants. And you know what happens to ants? They get fucking stepped on, don't they? They get sprayed with fucking pesticide, don't they? So I suggest people listen to what I'm saying. Go investigate for yourself. Figure this shit out for yourself. Get to the heart of the matter within what you're passionate about and what your subconscious mind wants you to do, because that's your true destiny. Otherwise, you're going to end up an ant getting stepped on or sprayed with pesticide when they decide that mental slavery isn't enough and they want to make the shit more physical. And that's today's message on Time of the Hour. Because as I've said previously in each episode of this podcast, the time of the hour is now, ladies and gentlemen. The time of the hour is now.